When your team's curious and ready to grow, they do their best work, and that changes everything. At CBT Nuggets, we've spent over 25 years making IT training engaging, hands-on, and fun. Expert-led courses, virtual labs, real-world skills your team can use right now. From networking to cloud to cybersecurity, we build skills and confidence that drive results. Believe in your team. Give them the tools to thrive at cbtnuggets.com/solutions.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show. Mark Thompson sitting in for Tim while he's away. Got the whole Conway crew here, though. Crozier and Angel and Kiki. Yeah, Sharon and Stefushalicious is working in there to make sure everything sounds good. And maybe top of the heap, regular news superstar Alex Stone joins us from ABC News.
Not top of the heap at all.
No, really?
No.
Oh, I have to take another look at the heap. I thought you were top.
It's a weird heap.
Yeah. But you have been out in front on this bizarre story out of SEATAC and also this Delta Airlines accident. I wonder if you can fill us in. I mean, I guess the Delta Airlines accident, should be clear, it was an explosion of a tire, or what happened?
Yeah, well, I mean, these things are so big and under so much pressure, and the airline is calling it an accident, and it was in the wheel and brake shop at the Atlanta airport where it's a hangar, and they work on the tires and on the braking system and everything, that all the components that go along with it. And these employees were working on one, not attached to an airplane today. They were doing their regular maintenance on it, and it appears that the tire exploded or some components with it, and it was described to us by Delta as being a tire and its components, kind of like the rim on a car wheel. And when it exploded, it killed 2 Delta employees and badly injured, critically injuring a third. And it's just, something like that you wouldn't think would be so dangerous, but if a tire with that kind of pressure, if it blows, it's essentially an explosion, like they were next to something that went boom. And so Delta says it's doing an internal investigation now to figure out what they were doing and why it exploded. The FAA says it's aware of it, that it doesn't know what role it's going to take in this whole thing because they weren't in the air. It wasn't on an airplane, but it is a part of an airplane, so they will probably be part of it as well. But 3 people impacted by this, 2 of them dead, Delta employees, maintenance workers just working on that tire.
There is a part of this that reminds me of a recent story involving a maintenance vehicle, as I remember it, that was involved in a fire, and they were putting it out, firefighters were putting it out with water, and the heat from the fire itself caused one of these immense tires on one of these huge, construction vehicles or maintenance vehicles to explode, and the firefighter was killed.
Oh, yeah, up in Palmdale, Lancaster, yeah, L.A. County firefighter.
Sure. And so, I thought that was just so freakish, and as you've kind of just noted, I didn't think, wow, that's right, that becomes a projectile once it explodes, and it took out this firefighter. Didn't think that so soon after seeing that story, we'd see this story, which is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, and it's not only the tire, but all the tire pieces, of course, but also the metal components around it. And depending on how much they had taken out, could have been the braking parts as well. But we know at least it had, like the rim of what you would think of a car wheel. So that is metal that in the explosion is going to go flying either in one piece or in numerous pieces. One of the witnesses told firefighters that he heard this explosion and went toward it, and there was a body laying on the ground. So it was like a bomb going off, and in that tire shop, and sadly 2 people lost their lives.
Okay, now you may or may not know the answer to this, but I'm just curious whether there is precedent for this. If this is like how unusual is this?
I don't know. And in the airline industry, there's so many safety stops now that nothing that we've ever covered that is anything like this. That I'm sure it's something that they train on, and the dangers of the pressure that a tire is under, but people being killed by it in an airline workshop, I've never heard that.
Yeah. Well, that's a story out of Delta there in Atlanta. So what's going on at Tacoma Airport, the Seattle-Tacoma Airport, SEATAC as it's called, in Washington?
Yeah, so we just got an update from Alaska Airlines a little while ago. They say they are doing better today. They are telling passengers, you know what, if you're flying on Alaska Airlines today, go ahead and check your bags. Remember yesterday they were saying no, that with the internet down at SeaTac, please just carry on your bag. Do not check it, because they were doing everything by hand. If you were going through Seattle or to Seattle, they were saying just carry it on. So they are making progress. The airport says if you can carry on a bag and you're going to Seattle or through Seattle, try to do that to not overwhelm them. But this is Gabe Martinez. He's trying to get home to Virginia. Still long lines today. It is getting better, but still problems with checking in. We're now in day 4 of this. And he said when he showed up, he didn't know about it. He hadn't been listening to KFI, and that he knew something was up right away.
Something about the computers got hacked, and they're doing everything manually.
And he says it definitely impacting him getting home.
It's making us not too easy about getting out of here. Are we going to get out of here? Is it going to take longer? The plane going to leave without us?
And so slowly, Mark, they're bringing things back online. And you remember it was Saturday, they realized somebody was in the airport secure system, and they immediately shut everything down. And that was everything from the airport website and email to all the flight boards to the kiosks and baggage handling and everything else. Even now, the signs that normally would say Spirit in big yellow letters when you walk into the check-in terminal right now is a piece of printer paper that they printed out Spirit, and it's stuck to those screens, because otherwise you would have no idea. It's not like the old days where, remember, the airline name was plastered all over the wall behind the check-in counter. Now it's all TV screens.
And, sure, that's right.
And they're all off. And really, Perry Cooper at the airport saying that the biggest problem has been baggage handling to figure out how to deal with that with the computers down.
So what is occurring is that they can go to a certain point, but at that point they can't be separated to different parts of the airport where they would be loaded onto their specific aircraft.
And they have been able to get some of that back up. And Alaska says they were doing it all by hand bag tags, hand sorting. It was like 1985. And now, because they all piled up, they couldn't get them out fast enough. They're delivering those to hotels and homes. They still don't know, though, who did this, what they were targeting, and Cooper says that they honestly don't know. The Port of Seattle is their police department handling it with federal agencies, and they don't know.
At that point, that we're still looking into that.
Yeah, they figure out who and why, but they've been a little bit coy, or I would say very coy, about what this really was and how deep the bad guys got in and what they had access to, but they haven't been overly forthcoming at all. But it's been slow, and they say that they're bringing things back online when they can say, okay, that system is safe, boot it up again. That one is safe, until they can figure out exactly where the intruders went.
It's almost as though they're cyber vandals. You know what I mean? If they didn't ask for anything in return, it wasn't one of those situations.
That we know of, yeah.
That we know of, exactly. Do you think that there are motives here that they're not sharing with the media yet?
There may be. Quite honestly, typically when a company is a victim of ransomware, they don't want anybody to know it, because they either want to tell the person doing the ransom to take a hike, or they don't want everybody to know that they paid them a huge amount of money. So down the line, we may find out something like that was involved, but they aren't indicating that this is ransomware at all. You would have to believe that they kind of know what they got into and where they were and what they were accessing and what their motive may have been. But at this point, they're not saying. They're saying they have no idea. They don't know where they were. They don't know what they wanted. But were they able to steal anything? They're not really giving any answer on that either. But the good news is the TSA has its own computer system, its own network. That was not part of this at all. The FAA has its own. That's why there have been no cancellations, very few delays and cancellations, because airlines have been operating fine, except for the computers in the port to check you in and to do baggage handling and to scan your boarding pass. Other than that, the airlines planes have been coming and going.
Sure.
They've been getting their flight plans. They've been dispatching. They've been going to the runway fine. Air traffic control's been fine. TSA security's been fine because they're on their own computer network. But anything that is on the computer network of the airport, that's been a problem.
Oh, my God. I mean, I have to say that part of the airport associated with everything before you get to TSA, I mean, that can be some of the most vexing, infuriating stuff, and to think that, it's gotten even worse with the computers down, and they're still down. Although it sounds like they're slowly getting up to speed, which is what you're saying.
And then you get in the Centurion Club you can't get into, and what are you going to do? Oh, sorry.
I must have those finger sandwiches at the Centurion Club.
That's right.
You really are top of the heap. I knew it. All right. Back to your champagne and finger sandwiches. Alex
right.
Stone, thanks, my friend.
You
Talk to
got it
soon.
later, Mark.
Yeah. That is a situation at SEATAC. When we come back, this is insane last night. A home invasion robbery. 3 armed suspects. They break into a house in Sherman Oaks. It's 9 o'clock at night. The woman who lives there is taking a shower at the time. Well, what happened next is extraordinary.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. On Demand from KFI AM 640.
It's crazy when you get these stories about the lawlessness that's running rampant over life in Southern California. This one in Sherman Oaks is truly bizarre for a couple of reasons. The hour that it happened, 9 o'clock at night, the fact that, again, people were home. And then what happened ultimately is extraordinary as well.
Huge collective sigh of relief in this neighborhood, a place that's been hit with multiple home break-ins over the course of this summer. And it's tough to catch these guys. They go in quick, they're out quick, and then they're out of here before police ever arrive. This one was just about timing as well, because shortly after someone called 911, police were immediately here because they were already in the area doing surveillance and patrols for crimes like this. It was early enough in the evening, people were out for a walk on Greenleaf Street. Unaware masked burglars at the same time were sneaking up the driveway carrying bags of items stolen from a home they just ransacked. This surveillance video of the home burglary from across the street was taken a little after 9 Monday night in what's become an all too common crime in Sherman Oaks.
And I walk the street every day for 25 years. It's just... it is what it is. It's getting worse.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, but what we're learning is that increasingly these are organized bands. These are not one-offs.
A nanny was the only person home at the time and told police the men wore ski masks and had guns, but she wasn't hurt. Because of other recent break-ins, LAPD was already nearby when she called 911.
Officers who were already in the area surveilling, patrolling the area, were able to locate the vehicle. They followed the vehicle to a location in Compton.
Air 7 captured the moments the suspect...
That is the part that is just beautiful. They were already there. They'd been surveilling them, and it was just a matter of time, and not a lot of time, before they moved in.
Air 7 captured the moments the suspect tried to outrun police in Compton, but LAPD confirms 4 men were detained, a welcome conclusion for those on Greenleaf.
I didn't know that. That's amazing. That's great news. I hope that they stay in jail and they don't get bailed out.
LAPD says the men have not yet been arrested or charged, and police haven't released any information about these suspects, like whether they have criminal histories. Many in Sherman Oaks now wondering if this group, with their responsible for any of the other home invasions in this area.
We don't know if these individuals are connected to any of those, but we're certainly going to look into them.
LAPD also tells me that at this point they have not recovered any of the stolen items from this house here behind me, but they're still waiting on a search warrant to be executed. Once they search that house, they potentially will recover those items, and obviously will go a long way if they find other items.
Well, why do they have to wait so long for a search warrant? On Law and Order, they can get a search warrant in 10 minutes. Not even. They call it in, you can get a search warrant. Their judges up all night. Honestly. That's the one part of the story I don't get. LAPD is still waiting for a search warrant. Really? We know the stuff must be in their house. Look, the arrest is the important thing. It's one of the things that struck me as a little bit odd.
We'll recover those items, and obviously will go a long way if they find other items to figure out whether or not this group of men are connected in any way to other break-ins in this neighborhood or, frankly, anywhere around Los Angeles.
Don't tell me that Law and Order is not real. It's based on reality. I will cite it as my source. Meantime, and I don't mean this is sort of the crime blotter reality of this segment. This is an extraordinary story at Fashion Island, where men in Rolls Royce and Ferrari. They're confronted. They rip off their car. They get their wallet, their watches.
A lot of concern, a lot of worry, and of course people thinking about what is next here. The ongoing violence not stopping here at the popular shopping mall. We've learned from investigators that last night's incident happened here at the parking lot. The victim's 2 friends who police say were targeted for their luxury cars. Both of them are okay, but of course they're frustrated that the 3 robbers got away. Take a look at some video here from last night. Police say it was around 11:30 p.m. when one of the victims was in his white Rolls Royce and was approached by 3 male suspects wearing ski masks, one of them armed with a handgun. After a brief struggle there, his high-end watch and wallet were stolen, but not satisfied with what they had already taken. The thieves tried to carjack the victim's friend, who was in a yellow Ferrari, that victim driving away. But one of the suspects fired his weapon, narrowly missing the driver.
He fired his weapon into the Ferrari as he screeched away. Now, these guys, to what end? I don't know.
Shattering, he was able to drive away to a nearby gas station where he was interviewed by police. It appears he suffered a few cuts due to shattered glass. Nothing was stolen from him. Last night's incident comes...
I mean, I got to say this, a white Ferrari and yellow Ferrari and a white Rolls. I mean, these guys are coming in hot, right? I mean, there's nothing subtle about their act.
Man, at this point, it's like if I had the money to have either of those 2 vehicles, I'd have a security person with me walking across the park.
I'm with Crozier. I don't see how you drive that stuff around by yourself. I mean, it seems like it's screaming, hey, I've got money, and this is just the beginning of it. Yeah. I watched that Jay Leno's Garage show.
Yeah.
I really love that show. And we love Jay, and Jay is really good. He's got a story with every car. But here's what it has to do with the Rolls. So I would never think about getting a Rolls until just the other day. I'm watching the Jay Leno Garage show, and he's got the new Rolls Spectre, it's called, okay? And it's British, so they spell Spectre, Spectre, right? And it's got 5-foot doors. So when you open the door, it's 5 feet of big, heavy door that you open. And when you want to close it, it's a button, and it closes itself. And I don't even think you have to press the button. I think it closes, maybe, you can set them up so they were automatically. That car was so sexy. It was so insanely seductive that I thought, oh, my God, that is the Rolls. If I could afford a Rolls, that's the Rolls I would buy. The one from Jay Leno's Garage, that Rolls Spectre. And so I went to, of course, the internet to see, well, if I came into a lot of money, how much money would I need to buy this Rolls Spectre? I guess that it's almost whippable, We although I think the guess is always going to be in the, all right, whip it quickly. And I have to do a turbo whip because I'm up against the clock. Turbo whip, please.
Turbo whip.
All right, turbo whip quickly. The new Rolls Royce Spectre. Stafouche, how much to get it out the door in your driveway?
$330,000.
Excellent guess, not correct. Sharon.
$380,000.
Another excellent guess, but not correct. Angel.
$650,000.
Another very strong guess, but not correct. Kiki.
$1 million. I'm just going to put it out there.
All right. Croge, you'll cap us off.
I'll go $500,000.
$500,000 is correct. Michael Crozier. Wow. It's a little north of $500,000, but we'll take it. It's $500,000 and change.
Thank you.
But very impressive. But man, that's
650 is a little north of $500,000.
It's not quite that far north.
Kiki thought you meant 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
I didn't realize. I'll have to check out the fine print, man. Okay. Well, in any case, if you have one, be careful where you go and where you park it. That's what my advice would be to you today. When we come back, Steve Gregory joins us. California deploying something substantial. It's a big piece of hardware. We'll talk to Steve about that next.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. On Demand from KFI AM 640.
Mark Thompson with Steve Gregory here on the Tim Conway Jr. Show. Tim returns next week. I was asking Steve, I like to intro somebody and give them a sense. In addition, Steve has got stories here day to day. He's won, many, many, many golden mics, and he is recognized as an outstanding journalist. But I was saying, what are you working on now that can promote you? Because I know you have Unsolved, and you have Studio 640, and you have, I think, a third thing that you're working on. You have a whole unit. I went down there. I mean, I was there just yesterday, and you're there. You've got a whole bunch of people in this. It looks like a SEAL Team 6 of media down there. What is that for? For which one of these projects is that group?
All of them. I mean, here's the thing, Mark. I've been working so long as a one-man band. For many, many years, I was like that until I want to say it was 4 years ago when Jacob Gonzalez and I worked on the death and life of Kobe Bryant together. And we logged 383 hours on that project. And I realized that I went so long without ever having any help that I didn't know what I was missing until I realized having the help made a huge difference.
Sure.
So now I've got Jacob working with me. I got Richie Quintero working with me on Studio 640. And then I've got like Elmer Bedagete working with me, and Tony Sorrentino works with me as my field engineer. I got my photographer, Mark Menny.
You really are like a little media company down there. I mean, you take them, your photographer, and your photographer, it's radio. What do you need a photographer? Because things are changing.
All digital, man.
Yeah, that's
you know
right.
that. You're on YouTube.
Sure.
I mean, and so Mark takes amazing footage and amazing photos, and we use that now. And so it is. I'm very blessed to have talent, and it's in addition to the other stuff they do at KFI. So we all have to wear multiple hats around here.
Sure.
So so they all have to do Jacob does middays with Gary and Shannon.
Sure.
Everybody's doing
everybody's hustling.
Yeah,
that's certainly true. And
so,
you've always been the kind of a journalistic gumshoe. I always tell you, you out there on the street, Steve Gregory, and now you're just doing so much more. So anyway, with the project that you most would promote would be what? Any one of those that you mentioned?
Well, our newest project, obviously, is Studio 640, which has been going very, very well. It's every week we rotate around 3 different college journalists from area colleges and universities. We present them with the topics of the week, and then they weigh in through the lens of a student journalist.
And what is the biggest thing you've noticed talking to student journalists?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think here's the thing that I've noticed is that I find myself being more mentor than host.
Yeah, I'm sure they look up to you.
Well, no, it's just that, I think I gave them all credit for having the same level of experience and skill by now. And it's not true. And some of them are better at one thing than another, and weighing in on things and being more articulate about certain things. And then you have to keep in mind, they're still students and they're still learning. They're still developing their craft. So one of the things I think that sticks out is they're not afraid to have an opinion. And the thing that we've been working on, like the last week's episode, was fact checking, because I asked them about Kamala Harris's speech. And I said, what'd you think of it? First of all, I wanted to hear what they said. They're like, oh, she did this, that, and the other. I said, okay, how many of you actually fact-checked it? And they gave me this look like, what do you mean? I said, well, did you go through and fact-check? And we talked about the same thing when the RNC had Trump. I said, so, and then when we have to kind of peel it back a little bit and say, well, one of the panelists' assertion about reproductive rights and that he wants to do a federal ban on abortion. I said, well, did you fact-check? That's not really true. What he wants to do is give the states the authority to make those decisions. So, we talk about things like that. Mm-hmm. I will tell you that sometimes the listeners here at KFI, they forget that they're students. So they sometimes have very strong opinions about these students. And it's like, okay, slow down, people, slow down.
Right. These are minds that are evolving and into this job as journalists.
But it's been fascinating, and I love it. I love that they get in there and they're all excited, and they have this energy about them, and they love, that they're being on KFI. A lot of their parents listen, a lot of their relatives and friends. But what is cool about it is a lot of their friends and colleagues in the college space are listening, and I think that's cool.
They're one viral TikTok moment away, Steve Gregory, from eclipsing you and your Murrow and all the other awards.
Let them do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
They can explode on TikTok.
I'm really proud of them. It's fun. And
that's very cool.
It's been fun to put it together and just see how, and tweak it along the way, because no infrastructure existed to do this kind of a show.
Sure.
And so we've had to create this infrastructure and this whole curriculum around this program.
Well, it's a clever idea, I think. I mean, there's a built-in curiosity because you're always curious what younger people think, people who are, just kind of getting their feet wet in the business. So that's Studio 640. All right, now you're here to talk to us about something huge, I think. I'm hoping this will be a game changer, to use the oft-used word, in the fight against wildfires.
Yeah. Something that I learned the other day, CAL FIRE just took possession of its first C-130 Hercules, or C-130H, and from the U.S. Coast Guard. It was part of part of a defense package, an aid bill from a couple years ago, where they can take surplus military equipment and repurpose it in other ways, more for helping in first responders and whatnot. And in this case, CAL FIRE will take possession of 7 of these massive C-130s, each capable of carrying 4,000 gallons of fire retardant and water. So it's important because CAL FIRE has the largest air attack fleet in the world. Think about that for a second.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah. I mean, we have more wildfires, I think, year-round than anybody, but we have the biggest, collection of air attack apparatus. So when CAL FIRE brought that aboard, it went into service yesterday out of Sacramento. It's where it'll be stationed. And then in the next couple of years, we'll start to see more of the planes coming into service. The Coast Guard's been kind enough to retrofit them already with the tanks, paint them with the CAL FIRE logo, and then they're going to spread those out all over the state in strategic parts. And the ground crew can be airborne. They can get that plane airborne with the pilots and the onboard of the liquid within 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And getting the liquid, can you hang for just? Sure. I just want to get and because I think obviously fire season is going to get cranked up here soon.
Well, Santa Ana's are coming.
Exactly, and so I'd like to know a little bit more. So Steve Gregory stays with us. He just won a Murrow Award, by the way,
national.
That is a spectacularly coveted award in journalism.
Yeah, this is the first one KFI has ever won.
Congratulations, sir. Buddy. Very cool. I'm shrinking in the awards that I can offer to compete with you, because I don't think trying to think of some of the plaques I have at home. No, nothing really stands out.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Sharon is, and I mentioned this, got Steve Gregory in studio. He's an award-winning journalist, just won the Edward R. Murrow Award, which may be, I don't know if it's the apex of journalism awards, but
for broadcast news,
yeah.
it is the top news award.
So you've heard of,
there's the regional Emmys and all that stuff, but those are for all the different formats. But the Murrows are a national broadcast news award.
Yeah, and you've won it, and it's really impressive. And so I hesitate to take time out of speaking with you just to note that Sharon has successfully changed the channel on one of the 7 monitors that's here in the studio. And that, I don't care how many awards you have, that is one of the hardest things you could imagine doing.
And here's the thing I don't understand, because I've been in television control rooms like you, Mark, and you have all these different monitors in there. They never have a problem switching channels.
They don't have to send somebody up there with a remote, holding their
and special within
cupping
4
their
inches.
hand.
With shielded with an RFD shielding mechanism to make sure it doesn't go to the other TV.
It's absurd.
It is,
Sharon. It really is. I mean, I guess it's cool that there are all these monitors here, but it really doesn't do us any good if we can't change the channel without changing all the channels at once.
I know. It's so weird.
So, Steve, I'm sorry you had to see that ugliness, but thank you.
Oh, I've been around this ugliness for a long time.
Now, we were talking before the break about this massive C-130 Hercules aircraft that's been added to the CAL FIRE firefighting fleet. And you were saying that we've got a bigger arsenal of things to fight fires here in California than anywhere in the world.
Yep. We do. And then down in Southern California, we also have a very unique situation here with the the quick response force. And that is a special partnership between the Orange County Fire Authority, Ventura County Fire, LA County Fire, and Colson Aviation. Colson Aviation is a private company, but they lease those big Chinooks, those twin-rotor helicopters from the Vietnam era, which have been retrofitted to hold more than 4,000 gallons as well. And they are paid for by SoCal Edison in a partnership with the counties. And the counties pay for the ground time. SoCal Edison pays for the air time, or the flight time, rather. So, and so when we get those in town, and then on top of that, we have the partnership with the government of Quebec, LA County does, to have the Super Scoopers and the Sikorskis.
Sure.
So we have a very robust very robust infrastructure of air power when it comes to Santa Ana season.
And still, sadly, I mean, with Santa Ana season ahead, when the Santa Anas get going, there's really just no knocking them down.
No, and so this is why all fire agencies, CAL FIRE being the biggest, obviously, they have to be very strategic. So this is why projecting with their meteorologists and their fire behavior science folks, that's why they're always trying to project where the trouble spots are going to be. And they usually try to identify like the top 5 spots, at least in our area, where they think fires are going to break out first. Then that's when they deploy the resources to be, and they can do structure protection and they do strategic placement of those resources so that response times are very short. And I was telling you about those C-130s having a 20-minute response time. That's really amazing. When you think about the size of that, but like those Chinooks have a very, very short response time. But the key to it is also the refilling time and the sort of the refractory period of getting back to the base and filling up. Whereas those Chinooks can fill up in like 60 seconds. I think they can max out with the snorkel that they have. So we are, and in Southern California, pretty much invented all of the air attacks that are mirrored around the world.
And yet the irony, of course, as I was noting, is it's against the backdrop of a hugely dangerous fire situation with the fact that you can't knock these fires down once the Santa Anas get going, and to the point, and this is the ironic point, given what you've said, fire insurance is harder and harder to get.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You've got insurance companies pulling out of California; they just don't offer it at all. So again, against this backdrop of this arsenal that is the greatest in all the world, as residents of California, we still feel insanely vulnerable and, uninsurable in many cases.
And this is also on top of CAL FIRE making the pledge that they will control 95% of all fires, to contain 95% of all fires within 10 acres. So they want to, that's their goal. That is their operational goal, is to contain all wildfires to a maximum of 10 acres within, or 95% of all fires within a maximum of 10 acres.
So the idea is don't let it get to be big.
Yeah. But you said it, the Santa Anas, that's what changes the game, because it's not really the flames advancing that are as dangerous as, or that is as dangerous as the embers that fly and cause the spot fires.
Sure.
That's always the unpredictable one. And that is the thing that really freaks out firefighters, because they could have all their resources in the perfectly positioned location, and all it takes is that gust of wind to blow a burning ember up to a mile away.
Yeah.
And still smoldering, and land right in the eaves of a house, right up underneath a roof tile or something, and then just enough to smolder and catch something on fire, like a tree next to it. And then it's, then you got resources having to go over there. And then that's what gets scary. It's the wind.
Sure. And the wind can be unrelenting, for days.
Fuels are bad enough because we're always having this drought, and the heat doesn't make anything better. But that wind is what really changes the game.
I mean, years doing forecasting for Channel 11, just sitting there hour after hour watching, and sadly just resigning yourself to the fact that we just had to wait for the weather to break, because the wind was just too powerful for firefighters to get the upper hand.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about being a fire science guy, like the fire meteorologist?
Yeah, I'm too much of a broadcaster show.
I'll tell you
person.
something, though. Every time I go to a command post, those are the first guys I ask for. Those fire meteorologists and fire science guys, they got so much great knowledge.
They're brilliant.
They're
brilliant.
amazing people.
Love them, really. Absolutely right. All right. He's got 3 shows and Steve Gregory Industries, whatever he's doing. It's Studio 640. It's Unsolved. It's the magic of Steve Gregory, the award-winning journalist. Thank you for stopping through, my friend. Yeah, good to see you always. When we come back, they have been found, arrested. It was the big crackdown on something that has been an epidemic in Southern California. We'll talk about it next. It's the Tim Conway Jr. Show. Mark Thompson sitting in for Tim on KFI, AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.